Hello and welcome to Cliff Reviews Art House. This time I'm reviewing the film Marty Supreme, directed by Josh Safdie. So I still haven't done my top 10 films for 2025 because I was waiting to see Marty Supreme and it just squeezed into 2025. So I had to hold up doing my list of the top films. This is exciting, ambitious filmmaking with a striking central performance. That said, despite recognizing much of what this film does well, I did come away with mixed feelings. I admire this film, but I didn't really love it. There's no doubt that the film looks great. I saw it on one of the large Dolby Vision screens in Leicester Square. The faces are zoomed in to an almost uncomfortable scale. The cinematography is manic and aggressive. The camera is frequently very close. Shots switch rapidly and movement is constant, often leaving the image partially blurred. It doesn't really ease the viewer into the film. It overwhelms by design, and at a purely sensory level, I do think it's quite impressive. Timothée Chalamet was very good. His previous films have been quite diverse, from Call Me By Your Name, Bones and All, June, and A Complete Unknown. He's shown quite a versatility as an actor. This may be his most quirky performance to date. It's energetic, restless, and it's committed, even when the character itself becomes difficult to engage with. The film clearly wants a chaotic energy, echoing the sustained anxiety of Uncut Gems. It never sits still. The central thread revolves around table tennis, but it's constantly interrupted by side stories and digressions, all pushing the adrenaline higher. The problem is that where Uncut Gems maintained an almost unbearable level of tension, Marty Supreme never quite got there for me. The chaos feels more aesthetic and incidental than emotional. Marty himself is a major stumbling block as a character. He's not likable at all, and I was never really rooting for him. He uses people, behaves selfishly, and rarely reflects on what he's doing. I'm not entirely sure whether we're meant to admire him. I suspect that we are, and that created a distance for me. The romantic and sexual subplots have no depth and they feel pointless, really. And the relationship with the character played by Gwyneth Paltrow strained credibility for me. It simply doesn't feel plausible that she would even take his call, never mind travel from the Ritz in central London to Wembley to watch him play table tennis. There is an interesting ambiguity around genre here. This is, at face value, a kind of sports film with table tennis at its core, yet it never fully commits to the genre. It sits awkwardly between sports biopic and character drama. It really reminded me of The Smashing Machine, directed by Josh Safdie's brother Benny, which similarly seemed unsure what it wanted to be. Marty Supreme commits just enough to the sports framework to feel constrained by it, but not enough to make it satisfying. Given how central table tennis is to the story, I was surprised by how little the matches work dramatically. The camera's often too close, the movement too frantic, the action frequently blurred. This reinforces the chaotic tone, but it comes at a cost. The sport itself never becomes exciting in its own right, and I think the film needed that grounding given its reliance on the sport. Now, I really have a major problem with the marketing and the hype around this film. I do admire Chalamet as an actor, but his public persona around the release of Marty Supreme felt juvenile and insecure. Perhaps it is an attempt to break free and find something new for himself, or maybe to appeal to a younger TikTok audience. At times, it did feel influenced by a Kardashian-style approach to publicity, noise, provocation, constant visibility, taking the place of substance. The viral stunts, the fake Zoom call, the orange balls, and the suggestion in interviews that this is his ultimate work, a film to inspire dreamers, all felt wildly overstated. Marty never transcends his sleaziness. I didn't leave the cinema feeling inspired or wanting to be like him. I did enjoy the quirky New York characters, at least from a British perspective. They felt amusing and broadly authentic. though I do wonder how they land with actual New Yorkers. They may well read as caricatures in the way that Guy Ritchie's Londoners often do. Ultimately, the characters remain too superficial. We never really understand Marty's development, how he honed his skills, or how he sustains them. There's an emotional climax where suddenly we do see some emotion, but by this point it leans too heavily into sentiment without earning it psychologically. Despite all of this, I do think that the film is worth seeing. It's made in an interesting, confident way, and at over 2.5 hours, it never lost my patience. That is worth something. But for all its energy, style, and ambition, I found it disappointing. It's a film I respect, admire in parts, but don't love. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.